Billy Ho here, and welcome to the DraftKings Picks, Pivots, and Ownership Show. I want to thank all you for joining me today, and we are going to cover some key players from top to bottom to help you polish off those lineups. First off, if you don't already know, Bryson DeChambeau, Mcgreevy, Troy Merritt, Lucas Herbert, Garrett Here We Go He Go, and Bryce Garnett have all pulled out of the Sony Open. DraftKings has added some new shooters in their absence down low, and I'm going to mention them later on in the show. Before we dive into the DraftKings pricing and picks and such, I wanted to bring up a couple of things. The one and done starts this week, and it's a fun way to try and pick that winner and win you some money. So I went ahead and put the website to where you can get into Mr. Pat Mayo's contest in the description. But what I wanted to also emphasize about this website is there are tons of different contests from as little as $25 to enter. You can create your own little contest with your buddies and all kinds of stuff. It's pretty cool. And I also wanted to bring up my favorite season-long contest, the Carbon Cup. Run by Josh Burkett, a.k.a. the Great White Buffalo on Twitter. He runs a really slick contest, and the payouts are always on time, and the man runs a ship-shaped show. I'm telling you, from experience, because last year I finished fourth and got paid on time. I do apologize for that late mention, as Josh has already closed contest entry last Sunday for this year's contests. But the contest I wanted to break down for you a little bit. It's basically like a weekly listeners league type of contest. 144 entries, and it comes with weekly, segmented, and majors payouts, and then a total season-long money payout. You get to compete every week, and you are never out of the money. I went ahead and put the link to the in the description for that as well. So just go on the website, check it out, look at the rules and all the different aspects of that. And if you didn't already get in, maybe next year you can do so. All right. Without further ado, let's get started. And at the top of the DraftKings pricing, you have last week's winner, Cam Smith. Man, how good was he last week? Dude, he won me some money. I won't deny that. I finished first in a contest and won a little bit of cake. And the question you have to ask yourself this week, can he go back to back? Well, he's coming to a course he's already won at. And he's playing the best golf of his career, in my opinion. Now, I do like to run back previous week winners on occasion, as they can seem to go lower owned than they should. Now with Cam, they have priced him up. DK did an eye job there, put him at 11,200, the top dog. So it might be a little more difficult, but that actually adds to the lower ownership, so I'm probably going to play a little bit anyway. Next up, we got Hideki Matsuyama, who I figured to be the lowest owned golfer in the 10K range by far. The bot played well last week, and per usual, sucked ass on the greens. I think he might be a great pivot this week over M and or Cam or anybody else in the 10K range with ownership. You just have to pray he can make a few putts. Next up, the guy that you would want to pivot with is Webb Simpson. Webb is one of my dudes. I always love to play Webb, especially on Webb type courses, which this is one we have this week. He's likely to be super highly owned and maybe even the highest guy in the tens, but I'll be happy to play him for the upside he can give you. The next up is probably the second highest owned guy in this range, Sungjae M. He's another dude I love to play on a weekly basis at almost any course. And the man was lights out last week, top 5 finish, making birdies and getting it done. And he's definitely a favorite of mine. I think he'd be just a fine first man in your lineup. Next up, Mark Leishman, playing absolute great golf and is no longer being a ninja, as we like to call him in our DFS Flophouse, Billy Ho's DFS Flophouse, that is. DM me on Twitter, BILLYAH40, Billyah40 on Twitter. DM me, I'll send you an invite to the Discord, and we'll get it done. Back to Leishman. He's out in the open now. He's wearing orange hunter gear rather than his usual ninja black garb. I do think he is a pretty good one and done play this week, but his DK price, it just kind of turns me off a little bit. And the 20% projected ownership is not what I would call optimal. Next up, Cory Connors. Man, boy loves to pop bottles in my models. Doesn't he? And for good reason. Dude is probably the best ball striker in this field, save Decibot. And for another, this is by far his best putting surface per this course of the entire PGA slate. He has gained strokes putting like a madman here, and that is normally not what he does. His around the green game is still a bit of a concern for me, but if he hits those approaches like he's capable of, he ain't gonna need it. Now, on a little bit of a side note, I have to mention Kevin Na, the defending champ. He is in play for me this week and was outstanding last week, and coming to a course we obviously know he's good at. Now, if the ownership is right, I'm not going to mind paying that $9,900 tag, but it is a little bit expensive for my old boy No Limit Soldier. Now, he can still make them say na-na-na-na if you ain't careful, so fade at your own risk. Now, the last couple of guys in this range, I'm likely going to fade Gooch because of the ownership, and I'll just let him beat me, be honest with you. The man is coming into his own, so I'll give him props on that. And Harris English, who I really like his game, but right now it's looking a bit busted and disgusted. Now, next range, Kevin Kisner kicks off the 8Ks. The Kiz played lights out last week, and now comes to a course that might even suit his game even better. His ownership's looking okay at 10 to 12, 13%. And I think he'll be motivated to try to get an early win. He was competing really hard last week. He just needs to keep up those irons, and his putter needs to stay hot. Next up, Billy Ho, who was not good last week. Oh, poor old Billy. Oh, Billy. It was the single worst approach week of his career ever. So he's going to have to bounce back from that. And at sub 10% ownership, I'm probably going to sprinkle. Next up, another disappointment last week, Jason Kokrak. Flat DFL last week. But I actually kind of saw that coming. Maybe not DFL, but I was full fade on him last week because I like him on more of the par 70 type courses. He's won at Houston at more difficult birdie fests, extreme birdie fests, I should say. But I think also after he won Houston, he took a big break, and maybe he was just rusty, and we might give him a pass on that. I may not be too heavy on him, but another sub 10% guy could be good for GPPs. Next up, Russell Henley. Russell Henley is going to be that guy at high percent ownership, I think, that is either going to bury me or give me a little bit of leverage on the rest of you guys in tournaments. I don't think that I'm going to play that much of him, but his iron game, and he is positive on Bermuda, he does seem like he would play very, very well here. Now, the 8.5K price tag is appealing because he could have been a little bit more expensive than that. And I would say he's probably going to be in a lot of cash lineups. Next up, Maverick Mcneely. Mav is making his debut here at Sony and is a very good fit here at medium ownership, and a guy I think can make the cut. And also make the cut with upside. He seems to be honing his game and coming into his own over the fall swing, so we might have to up the trust level on old Mav. Next up, we have my man Seamus Power Hour, who Seamus is, after the last 8 months of his best play of his career, I want to say is a kind of a core play for me this week. He sets up pretty well here. He's not super long off the tee, but he's super accurate. And the irons are firing on all cylinders. The round the green game is tight. And, his putting is just as good as anybody else. My next guy I kind of like, CH3, a.k.a. Charles Howell III, a.k.a. Chucky 3 to the radar. But the dude always seems to just come and roll right out of bed from the fall break and just make a cut, several times competing for the win. I really like Chucky, a good low-key play. Davis, though, there's a little bit tougher fairways, and there's only, so, you can't count him out. He had a good finish here last year, and I am really happy. Alrighty then. I'm going to kick off the 7K range with Mr. Sony himself, Brendan Steele. In play this week, and at 7,900, it's a bit of a premium compared to where he's usually at, clocking in the low 7K range. Last year, but his putter fell apart on him, and he got scooped by the Na. See if he's maybe getting his game straight this week. My next man up, Chris Kirk. Now, Chris Kirk was of mine back in the day, a few years back, when I first started out playing PGA DFS golf on the FanDuel. Played the guy almost every week, made the cut almost every week, and I usually made money. Alcohol and whatnot, and I give him props for getting help from what I see, he's getting back to that cash game cut maker form again. Now, last year, he flashed some upside with a big runner-up finish, so maybe he can run that back again. You never know. He's still going to be, I think, mildly popular, 10-15%. Next up, low-owned Ryan Palmer. Low-owned guy, may drop in a few lineups myself. Dude has massive upside. Good on Lamborghini, mentioned him in the Discord, trying to steal my thunder, but that's all right. Suit. Zeitgeist. Not 100% on that. But, dude, I like to play, especially on this course, because he is a flat short knocker, but he is a nice cut maker type. The weather looks kind of mild again, like it did last week, but if the wind does kick up over the weekend, he can definitely. Next man, Keith Mitchell. Killa Keith. I think another pretty low, but along with big upside comes big risk. A guy who could excel if the wind kicked up, and a guy who makes tons and tons of DraftKings points. There's a few other guys here I'll just mention real quick. Joel Damon, I think, point is everybody's kind of low 6K darling in the TOC, but the man was just probably a little bit over his head with the supreme scoring, and that's just not Joel Damon. He's not going to shoot 30 under. He can't drop 7-8 unders every day. Still might be a little bit of stretch, but I think he can make 20, 22 birdies if he's got his mind right. Another one is Tom Hoagy. Irons have been absolute fire during the fall. Seems to like this course, and I think he can play well. And also a guy who I think might go a little overlooked, or a lot overlooked, is Matt Kucher. Kind of getting his game back in form. And the dude was just lock button for cash game about a year and a half, 2. I think he'll be all right this week. He could be a good cut maker. My favorite actually in this range is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. Denny McCarthy is making his debut here at Sony, and I cannot wait to see how he does. The man is probably the best putter in this field, and if he has that putter rolling, could light it up this week. He might actually be my bottom core guy, I guess you could say. Another guy that might be a bottom guy in the 7K range, core-ish, but Pat Kazire. Monster upside DK dime, in my opinion. He misses some cuts here and there, and you're disappointed when you play him, and he does. But if you get him to the weekend, the man and will flat bail your lineup out or put you over the top. Now, a couple more low-owned guys that I think that could pop in this range are Adam putter through the fall, Brian Stewart, who is kind of a course horse here, plays well here on short courses, and Stewie Sink, a man who played last week at TOC, and I think can get it. Now, to put a bow on these 7K guys, there is a man I like to play, Henrik Norlander, as kind of a good cut maker. If he can get the putter rolling okay, he'll have some upside. Another guy I'm also thinking about running back is KH Lee. My low-key play from last week didn't exactly pay off, but he did pop up a little bit Sunday with a very nice round. A few of the fellas, Corn Ferry graduate, one of them that I'm beginning to like is Allen, who looks pretty good on the par fours and also plays pretty well at these. His birdie average for this range of, and he is also and there's actually one other Corn Ferry guy that caught my eye who's going to kick off the under. So here we go. The man is Max Mcgreevy. Don't know a whole lot about old Max, so I had to look up a little bit about him. He popped a little bit in the model, so I had to see what he was all about. He shows up as a bit of a short knocker, but accurate off the tee. I think he course as it seems to fit. Now, I don't normally like throwing darts on guys like this, but I think I might take a shot or two here with him. Next guy up that I'm going to take a dart, talk about a major, sub 5%. We're looking at maybe 2% ownership. Kyle fucking Stanley. Got a rhyme for you. Make a cut. That's all it takes for him, because he is a ball striker premier, and his last 2 trips have been missed cuts, but every other has made a cut with good finishes. I got good vibes on Kyle this week, and I'm going to give him a chance to prove everybody wrong. Now, winding down my list, as I don't like to dip down too low in the second more balanced builds, honestly, covered a more consistent cut-making type of game, and still seems to be going under the radar a bit. So I think he'll be all right play this week. Now, I wanted to finish off this field with a real bottom 6K flag, and I think I might have actually found one. Paul Bargeon. He is a guy that I think might provide decent if he can make the weekend. Really put him in some lineups because at 6K, it allows you to pay up for high-priced guys. So if you want to go extreme stars and scrubs, Paul Bargeon might be that guy. Now, as I mentioned previously in a video, there are 5 new shooters that DK added today. Ryan Armour, 6,300, is probably my favorite guy. He is typically a guy that hits fairways and gets to greens, and if his putter cooperates, he can provide you good points with good value. 6,600. Another guy with similar upside, play at your own risk. I have to dive deeper Seifert, as I haven't really looked a whole lot at him. Camilo Villegas, 6,200. He's a guy that always shows up at these resort-type courses, Bermuda, Punta Cana, those types. 6,200, not a bad price. Von Taylor is 61, but his game has been real wonky, so I'll probably pass on him. And another guy, Brent Grant, at 6K flat, who I don't know anything about, to be honest with you, so I'm not even going to fuck with him. Okay, there you have it. That is the complete breakdown Billy Ho's got for you this week. And that's going to do it for the show. And I just want to thank you all for listening, and I really appreciate subscribe, like, comment section on who you like this week, or if you like the video, tips or props for me. I'm always on the lookout for love. And I love all you guys. So until next time, we see ya.